Problem number 2, which is the square root of 12. Now, I graded these assignments for you, but in case you don't really want to look at them, it's a good way to get back into the groove of things. So when we break 12 down, that breaks down to 4 and 3. And then the square root of 4 is 2. So 2 comes out in front. And the 3 stays inside under the root. And that's our final answer. 2 root 3. Number 4, we have square root of 147. What's 147 break down to? You know what it breaks down to, Santino? Yeah, why not? He doesn't know what it breaks down to. Very nice, Miss Steele. 3 and 49. And 49 is a perfect square, so that gives us 7 root 3. Beautiful.
That was easy.
All right, breaking down square root of 80, I'm going to go 16 and 5. Just because I know that that's a perfect square. That'll give me 4 root 5. 200 breaks down to 102. 100 is a perfect square, or 10 times 10. Got the pair that comes out in front, 10 root 2. Number 10 is square root of 150. There's a lot of ways we can break that down. We do 25 and 6. That's a pair of 5s, comes out in front. 6 breaks down to 2 and 3. No more pairs, so it stays inside. 5 root 6. Number 12, 128. That's 64 times 2. So that's 8 and 8. So it's 8 roots of 2. Number 14, 108. I can't think of any perfect roots off the top of my head. What about you?
No, man, no.
Good job. 36 and 3. Very nice. So we got a pair of 6, and that's 6 root 3. 42 breaks down to 6 times 7. We can break that 6 down further to 2 and 3, but that doesn't really do anything for me. This one will not simplify. It's just square root of 42. It's a little trick question for you. Number 18 was square root of 75, just 25 and 3. Breaks down to 5 and 5, so 5 roots of 3. And the last one was the square root of 63, which break down to 9 and 7, so that would be 3 square roots of 7. Any questions on that assignment? All right, we'll move on to the next one then. Now we're going to simplify roots and rationalize the denominator. So I saw a lot of photomath being used on these ones, and I could tell that because we simplified the square roots, one right over the other one. Only photomath would do that. Nobody would do that in real life. Like they reduced the 8 over 12, made that one solid root, reduced that, and then pulled it back out of the square roots. So I knew that people were using photomath when they did that. Stop using that. I'll catch you every time. Too smart for you. 8 breaks down to 4 and 2. So that means I bring a 2 out in front, which gives me a 12 out there. So it's 12 root 2. On the bottom, the 12 will break down to 4 and 3. And then 4 breaks down to 2 and 2. So 2 comes out in front. And I'm left with 10 root 3. Then I'll just reduce the front now. I can divide 12 and 10 both by 2. Gives me 6 roots of 2 over 5 roots of 3. Number 2, I said you didn't have to do. Number 3, if I simplify the top first, it's going to give me 8 breaks down to 4 and 2. Bring the 2 out in front. It gives me 8 root 2 over root 10. Now I have to rationalize my denominator here. Oh crap, I forgot to do that up top. Got to multiply by root 3 over root 3. Can't have that root in the denominator. So that gives me 6 root 6 over 5 times 3. Should be 6 root 6 over 15. I can simplify that to 2 root 6 over 5. I did figure that's the problem. Alright. So then on this one, now that I'm not forgetting to do half the problem, I multiply by root 10 on the top and bottom. It's going to give me 8 root 20 over 10. I can simplify this top root. 20 breaks down to 5 and 4, so I bring a 2 out in front. That's 16 root 5 over 10, which gives me 8 root 5 over 5. Number 4 was a little easier because the square root of 4 is just 2. So that's 20 over root 10. Multiplied by root 10 on top and bottom. And that gives me 20 root 10 over 10. 20 divided by 10 is just 2. So it's 2 root 10. Number 5, here's where our I comes in at. And take the square root of both sides. It's going to give me n equals and then I have an I out in front because it was a negative. And then I have to break down 54. That breaks down to 9 and 6. Which means I bring a 3 out in front with the I. And then the 6 stays under the root. Now again, I can tell when people used photomath because it puts the I behind the square root. The only question is, if the I is behind the square root, what's to stop me from thinking that you left it as the square root of 6i? That's why you want to move the I out into the front of the square root, so there's no confusion. That second answer, like this, if I don't know if that I is under the root, it completely changes the problem. Do not put the I behind the root, it goes out in front. That's for all you photomathers out there. Maybe write them a suggestion. Here I can take the square root of both sides. It gives me x equals. Then 32 breaks down to 16 and 2. Square root of 16 is 4. It's going to be a 4i out in front, and then a 2 left under the root. and then it's plus or minus. Also, photomath made people break it down into 4i root 2 and negative 4i root 2. You don't have to do that. It's all covered under the plus and minus. Number 7, let's solve for k. I add the 2 over first. It gives me k squared equals 49. Take the square root of both sides. It gives me k equals plus and minus 7. That was messed up. And that's my final answer. Number 8, we start by dividing by 100. Gives me n squared equals 1 over 100. Take the square root of both sides. Now when I take the square root of the right side, I take the square root of 1, which is just 1, and the square root of 100, which is 10. And then of course it's plus and minus. Number 9 here, add the 2 over, gives me 2n squared equals 126. I think I said add the 2 over, it's a 4, obviously. Divide by 2. It gives me n squared equals 63. Take the square root of both sides. I can simplify the 63 to 9 and 7, and 3 and 3. 3 comes out in front. It's n equals plus and minus 3 root 7. And then number 10, this one was probably the hardest one on the page. We start by adding the 10 over. It gives us 10n squared equals negative 92. Divide by 10. A lot of people then went to 9.2 from here, negative 9.2. Shouldn't do that. You got to leave it the way it is. So it's n squared equals negative 92 over 10. Take the square root of both sides. Now I take the square root of the top and the square root of the bottom. 92 breaks down to 40. Would that be 46 and 2? Yeah. And then 46 will break down to 23 and 2. I have a pair of 2's, so that comes out in front. And then it was negative, so it's going to be an I out there. So 23 left inside. And that's over the square root of 10. Have to rationalize that denominator, so I multiply top and bottom by the square root of 10. Gives me 2i times the square root of 230 all over 10. It's plus and minus. And now simplify the 2 over 10. Gives me plus and minus I root 230 over 5. Any questions? All right, well, that's about it for the day. The whole point was to get caught up on going over the homework assignments. I'm going to want to continue to do that just to keep us fresh, make sure that we're staying caught up with it and understanding the work. Tomorrow we are going to pick up with a new section. And we'll go from there. If you don't have any questions, you are free to log off.